right, folks, good evening. It's another Friday here. And did you think about it? 14 calendar days, Christmas Day. And by the way, Christmas Day is always a Friday. Hello, I'm Citizen Jones. Today on the program, Nigeria confirms 675 new coronavirus infections, the highest in more than 3 months, just as federal government directs isolation and treatment centers to prepare for reopening. Labour rejects bid to borrow from 17 trillion naira pension fund, just as Governor El-Rufai again warns against more borrowing. INEC arraigns an lecturer for electoral fraud in state, so my state is in the news. And later on, we'll share this with you. Government's General Irefik, I got that right, describes him as one of Nigeria's greatest soldiers. I'm hanging out with Babajide Otitoju, BKO. Do I greet you? Good evening to you. There's also Martins Oloja here. Martins, I greet you. Yes. Martins, the best things in life are free. You know one of them? Cock crew at dawn. I never hear them in a long time. Jide cock crew at dawn. You don't hear them? At dawn. Apologies to the NTA. So the team is ready. I hope you are. Set sail. You know, the risk of COVID-19 resurgence was never far away, but has Nigeria, nay, Africa, come to grips with how to target the virus? Your guess is as good, if not better than ours here. The hard fact is the dreaded contagion is upon us again. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has officially confirmed new cases of the corona pandemic. 675 new cases have been recorded, and the new figure countrywide is the highest over 3 months. The federal government has consequently directed isolation and treatment centers to prepare for reopening. Experience is showing that if you give a Nigerian 10 hours to chop down a tree, he spends the first 7 hours sharpening the axe, Jide, if you got that logic. And he has 10 hours, but he uses 7 hours to sharpen the axe.
That's to prepare.
Oh, to prepare.
He's still saying it about that. We just have to do what's right. I was looking at the figures, and look, we can't deceive ourselves. The last few weeks has been really climbing. The total number of infections 3 weeks ago stood at 1,126. 2 weeks ago, it was 1,235.
Yeah, I remember.
And last week, it was 1,843. This week, it will be higher than what was recorded last week, which was 1,843. It means that there is a new wave. All that we can do is to ensure that we do not experience an explosion.
Yeah.
Because if we can manage it the way it is, without having to take some drastic steps, then good for everyone. And I think that is the point that the Kaduna State Governor is making when he's saying that, look, in the past, the percentage of infected persons, when put side by side, the number of samples tested was in the region of 1 to 3%. But suddenly now, they are experiencing between 20 to 35% of infected persons out of the samples tested. So there's no doubt that from those figures, there is a rise in the rate of infection in Kaduna State.
Yeah.
And the governor is saying we may have to go back to enforcing the use of face masks by setting up mobile courts to ensure that people comply with these COVID-19 protocols and keep everyone safe. The way it is now, the government said, okay, because of the lower burden of infection, let us close the isolation centers. but they are being told now that those isolation centers must be reopened and the treatment centers have to reopen. So health workers must guard their loins now because we have to prepare for the new wave of infection. So it's the right approach. We must not wait until things escalate before we start taking...
Otherwise, we must not spend 7 hours, Martins, out of 10 preparing how to fell the tree when the bigger you have the instrument. So it is said the most formidable weapon against any wrongdoing is reason. The reason is here to go back to the drawing board before an implosion.
Before an implosion or even explosion. You know, I'm worried about our attitude to everything, including this. I'm worried about user fatigue that has also affected the use of face masks, among other things. Because even in the last 2 months, we've written about 3 editorials of The Guardian about the carelessness that we were beginning to notice even before this time, that people are talking about the weather condition, among other things that have insulated us from some of these things.
Or so we think.
Or so we think. But when we begin to notice what has been happening even in developed countries, and people are flying into Nigeria from those developed countries, from UK, from the United States, from UAE, from others.
Martins, and you are flirting with the idea of reopening your borders.
Well, definitely, even when the borders,
borders are not totally closed.
We're not totally closed, and even the borders in the alternative borders were not closed. However, I think that we need to advise ourselves. It's not about government this time. It's not about this. It's civic education within the family system. Every head of a family should be the government. That's the starting point of civic education on this thing. It's not a government talking about traffic. It's not government talking about these political this, political that. It is about public health. It is about something that developed countries even cannot control. It's science. And we need to warn ourselves to say it is not because somebody is saying so in Abuja or in Alausa. It is about our health. It's about our future. It's something we need to take seriously when you are talking like this. Well, we need to look into how people who are flying in from other countries, we need to look into how they are being tested, how they integrate into the society, and the kind of testing that they get, and the kind of results that they get. Because we are beginning to hear that people have relaxed, and they are beginning to commercialize operations depending on results, not efficiency of the process.
Jide, we can add this.
I think that the point that you made is very germane, and I want to say that one of the Nigerian newspapers did an investigative piece on the racketeering of so-called COVID-19 test results at the entry points into our country. The airport here, the airport in Abuja, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. People who can pay are given
a clean bill of health.
So test results without undergoing any test. It is how wicked we are as a people.
Satanic.
It's a satanic, luciferous, that we can go to this extent. Nigerians can do anything because of money. Anything. You are giving people, you are forging documents in the name of the chairman of the Presidential Task Force. That's Boss Mustafa. You are forging documents. You are procuring, I mean, you are coming up with fake results, fake PCR, and giving to people coming into our country. Those people come, a lot of them will come in with infections. And then you allow them to come and infect us because of your love for money.
That's it.
It just shows how bad we are. It's convenient for our people to say, oh, government is bad, government is this, government is bad, government is this, government is bad. But our own people, a lot of our people are extremely wicked in the pursuit of money.
No, yeah.
So it has to be investigated. Boss Mustafa has promised that they will investigate, and I hope that the investigation won't take eternity. It has to be investigated, and people must be made to pay for commercializing the result of, I mean, commercializing COVID-19 test results.
Jide, because if a resurgence of COVID-19 or the pandemic, if you like, in America is becoming grating, is becoming very biting, and people come from America into our country. So what you're saying is
the thing. That is the thing.
You know,
the truth is, if we truly want to solve this problem, we have to address the problem in different ways. The way it is now, our people have relaxed. They think that this thing no longer exists. A lot of them do not even believe that COVID-19
was there in the first place.
They've come up with all kinds of conspiracy theories about COVID-19. They say, and I've seen educated people.
Supposed.
Oh, yes.
Because if your education is different, being educated is different from being certificated. They are two different
things. There are people who in many ways can defend their certificates. But, hold on. I know a few of my people, because some of them, they brought even religion into it. So I can't question the education of certain people that I've interacted with. But they've chosen to believe that, oh, it's some individuals who are trying to kill the rest of us who have come up with this idea and all that. Even in the US, you see people,
it still begs the question
even some professors.
It begs the question of education. Underline that in this matter. This is no child's play.
People who choose to believe falsehood are sometimes educated. People who choose to allow themselves to be easily deceived are sometimes educated.
And you know, dogma is dangerous here at a time like this.
That is why you see people with fantastic education, but they've chosen to follow some clerics who are only out to deceive them. So at that point you begin to question their education. But the truth is, they are educated. They are just downright stupid.
Okay.
Just downright stupid doesn't mean that they are not educated.
We will take another program, but let's go there. At church settings, the setting in a mosque tells you so many people will come to, will congregate somewhere. Yes. And you are begging. This is the season of having special programs at churches, Christmas, and there's another one somewhere in Ogun State. We are talking about distancing, and that this thing is on its way back. If it is not back already here, how do we go? Please tear the bag here.
This is what I said earlier. We should be concerned about foundation of every home. This thing you mentioned about education, civic education, all kinds of education is different from understanding. There are people who claim, very, very well educated, but they lack understanding of certain things. And Thomas Paine was talking long ago about the age of reason.
Age of reason.
This is not a time you will say, please don't do this one. Somebody can pray for you and you'll get healed and all those things. Yes, miracles do happen. But this is not the time to depend on miracles. If they say observe certain protocols, even when you go to church, God will not just come down and do miracles because of your carelessness.
Oh yeah.
It's not that we don't believe in God or we don't believe in miracles, we don't believe in this, but this is science. Who also created science?
Even the man who wants to go to heaven is not ready to die.
Luke in the Bible was a physician.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
a physician.
Oh, yeah.
And I like what they said, was it at Luth? They said, we only care, God heals.
Yeah.
But they still do the caring. And they go to a large extent.
Remind Judy that St. Paul was a lawyer.
A lawyer, yes.
But he talked about towing the lines of the law. The law is the law.
It's the law. So, you know, he got his education under their best. The Ogal of the Sanhedrin.
I can only hope, sorry, I can only hope that 2 states,
yes,
Kogi, Cross River, had become persuaded that we are dealing with a real life contagion.
This is an opportunity to appeal to people about complacency. This is science, and this thing travels more than the speed of thought. At this time, you cannot see it, and people who have the best equipment, medical laboratories, they cannot contain this, so we need to be careful. We need to be truthful. We need sincerity in our purpose. The task force members and public officers, every family head.
After all, a miracle is not a
should deepen understanding of what is happening.
A miracle is not a happenstance
No,
thing.
no.
You provoke it.
Yes.
We have a Bolaji who has joined us from Lagos. Bolaji, good evening to you. Welcome. Are we in business? Please, okay, ignore the delay. I greet you, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Jones. How are you?
May I greet you? And you, Nko, welcome.
Thank you very much. I greet you too, Comrade Otito June.
Thank you, sir.
And Comrade Martins Oloja.
Thank you very much, Comrade.
You're welcome.
God bless you. Can you hear me?
Go on.
Yes, I greet BKO too.
We greet you all. Let's go. Time.
Thank you very much. Now, the issue of this COVID-19 rebounding is good. The second wave coming up, though, is very, very. I'm speaking. The second wave that is coming might just be as bad, but then we want to pray, like you talked about miracles. We want to believe that miracle will not make it very bad, because we had a quite solemn time with the first one. I'd like to also say that
are we in business?
No, it's not.
Okay, we have a technical wahala. Bolaji, if you do have the time, please call back. Again, I know he's echoing the sentiments we are expressing here. So,
as I was saying, so miracles do happen, but as T.D. Jakes will always say, miracles don't just happen.
They are provoked.
Yes, they are provoked.
Yeah.
And there are certain conditions that you should continue to work on before miracle. God is merciful, but we should just not take the grace of God for nothing like that. And we need to be very, very careful. But I continue to appeal to all family heads to take control of their homes, first and foremost.
Yeah. Not
to depend on government, to say, you know, something happened in the first wave. Some big men and institutions said, oh, in Africa, the way this thing will affect them, we will begin to pick
a lot of hell was raised.
Yes, a lot of hell was raised. Because it didn't happen at that time, people should not be complacent.
Yeah.
Because it didn't happen. Look at what is happening in the United States. They have the best of medical science institutions. They have the best of research institutions, institutes, and what have you. But what is happening there? What of the United Kingdom? Everywhere in Europe, everybody in Australia, and in some of these developed countries. Look at what is happening
now,
there. So,
emphasis is on vaccines.
Yes, vaccines.
Getting them, and more so, getting them to the poor and more needy environment. We'll continue with this, but we'll take a break and come back. Please don't go away.
around 8 o'clock like this and begin to shoot everybody.
When they reach there now, we beg them, please, come. They don't help us. But when they spoil everything.
We have reported the matter to the police.
All right, folks, welcome back. Let's get cracking some more on that first story. COVID is back. It doesn't matter if you are persuaded or not. COVID is back, and so we must, like human beings who reason, play by the rules. Judy, what more can we say about self-isolation? You know, forget... Yeah, our country, I'm sure if tests were carried out, there will be more figures turned in, if you ask me. Yes. I may be wrong.
And the NCDC has complained that more and more states are refusing to test. You know, they are refusing to test. You know,
at that point, is it about capacity or willingness?
It's not so much
capacity.
Capacity, because even for states that do not have test centers, neighboring states have. But the will must be there. A state that is suppressing testing because it doesn't want to spend money on people who are sick.
And not his money, not anybody's money,
yes,
but the state's money.
No, look at what happened in Cross River, where the governor who goes about with a pattern on the head was given the impression that his state was.
No. If you told me the man has a face mask on, I go understand. Leave the parting for the man.
That's your own way of describing it. But this is what I see is
okay. The thing will strike you.
And at that parting, you know that when we were young,
you know, get hair for head. I can understand. You know, get
when we were young, it was the fashion at that time.
Oh yeah.
But he's trying to roll back the years.
Jide,
now, you see, today now we have 71,344 confirmed cases in our country. 65,474 discharged, and 1,110 deaths recorded. 90 deaths recorded. Lagos has 24,366 lab confirmed cases. Next is FCT with 7,889. Plateau with 3,979.
These are the latest figures coming in.
Oyo, 3,747 cases. Kaduna, 3,586. Rivers, 3,014. Then Cross River, 90 cases. 90. That's why he told us that they didn't have it. Then Kogi, 5 cases.
Thank God, my Akwa Ibom not there.
No, this there. I chose to leave out your Akwa Ibom. Akwa Ibom was one of the earliest cases. Remember,
really?
There was an education outreach that some white people conducted in your country. That was where, I mean, your state. That was where the first set of infected persons were infected. You know, and when you know, at that time, the samples were taken to Edo State. The good thing now is that we now have more test centers. So if we are truly interested in testing, doing extensive tests, I'm certain that there will be more cases than this, and I'm certain that a lot of our people will eventually be saved. Thank God the youth budge on our continent and the warm climate is a factor in
suppressing the impact.
You know, the impact, helping us to check the impact, because the youth tend to survive it more than the elderly people. When you look at Italy,
maybe this is why you people claim a miracle.
There's no and you know, even the PTF guys were saying that, look, that churches were sabotaging the national response to the thing. And I think to an extent they were right, because On the day recently, Governor Wike went to church. He was very angry because he saw clearly that people were not observing those safety protocols anymore. And he said, you people said we should open churches, but nobody's wearing this mask here. You're not wearing your mask. The next time I come here, I'm going to be angry with you people.
Yeah.
So our people need to obey the instructions. It's for everyone's good. It's for everyone's good.
Martins, if the Chief of Army Staff conference had to be put off and officers who attended asked to self-isolate, that will not be speaking from inside a box.
Oh, definitely.
And one top officer is known to have passed.
Yeah, definitely. It's a pointer to the fact that we should be very, very careful and we should take this thing very seriously. Yes, it is not a death sentence, as he just said this now. Yeah. Those with pre-existing conditions are likely to go before any other thing. But if these things are detected, in time, we can see now that they can be treated.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
There's treatment for this thing if you don't have pre-existing condition. Actually, if you look at the data of people worldwide, look at millions of people who have been affected, and
68.8
million. How many? What is the percentage of death? What is the percentage? But that is
1.5 million.
1.5 million deaths. It's not that we shouldn't care about people who have lost their loved ones, but this is to say that this thing is, after all, not a death sentence. But we need to appeal to chief executives in the Federation to do more testing so that we can detect this in time and people can be treated and even prayed for.
Okay, we must go. We must go now. We must go. There are two kinds of people: those who believe in a dogma, and know it, and those who believe in a dogma and don't know it. So we are talking about two extremes. The court, the ball is in your court. Please, please safe. God is a God of reason, God of mercy, and so on. Ours is to provoke the debate, as always. Now, let's go to our second story. You know, the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, is in the news again. This time, the Aluta people are tackling governors who are nursing the idea of borrowing from the 17 trillion naira pension funds. The Labour body says government does not have a moral justification to borrow from the retirement benefits of workers. Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai is speaking in the same vein. As far as he is concerned, the country has almost reached its maximum capacity to borrow. Many governors lack the capacity to think and therefore lack imagination. I may be wrong, Jide.
If you lack the capacity to think, the higher people can think for you.
Okay.
Hire them, pay them. They will come up with the right initiatives to turn your state around. Because we are just not doing enough in terms of generating money within our country. And this problem is just across board. Even yes, we have issues with generating revenue in our country. Most of the revenue generating federal agencies are not generating enough. And it's also because they are not putting in enough efforts. If you remember the last probe by the House of Reps of some of these revenue generating agencies, including Federal Aviation Authority of Nigeria, FAN, and the rest of them, these guys, it's not as if money was not generated. But
not remitted.
The difference between what's generated and what's remitted is huge.
Yeah.
So we've got to do something about the way the resources are leaking. We've got to do a lot more along that line. But if we simply think that the way to bridge the revenue gap is simply to borrow, then something is wrong. Something is wrong. Wow, what is going on? You can see how Labour is thinking. Labour is saying, look, this pension fund is not something that governors can go and be borrowing. That it is workers' sweat. It is the savings generated by workers. All of the money belongs to the workers. And the NSC president is saying only about 5% of the states have even subscribed to the contributory pension thing. But they're already looking at the money because there's so much money there. They're already thinking that, oh, let's go and take more than 10 trillion there. Let's go and borrow money to pay salaries.
You don't blame them, since everybody goes to Abuja for a monthly dole-out. So you couldn't be bothered about
and let
IGR
them, let them
that.
busy themselves with Abuja that they go now. To go and be thinking of taking money from workers' savings. And you refuse to subscribe to the contributory pension thing. That means you have no stake in it. Your money is not there.
Yeah.
Because if you are subscribed to it, you will have helped the money to grow. But you refuse to subscribe, but because you can see that there's a quantum of money there, you are already thinking that you can go there. You've gone to the banks, you've taken loans. Domestic loans are already huge. And I've asked myself, what are we going to do? Are we going to print more Naira notes to pay the domestic debts when they fall due? Or the treasury bills?
You can, but you must have something to back up the new notes. Something must have gold or whatever to back up the printing. You don't just print because
national revenue assets are declining now. So they simply don't know what to do. But we have to. I read the CBN governor saying yesterday or so that, look, we've been relying so much on petrodollar as our main revenue source. He said, look, we have to move away from oil. Because once everyone knows that the oil market is volatile, there's nothing we can do about that volatility. It's not like the gold market that is stable. Everyone knows that, oh, gold and diamond is stable. So once there is any problem with that market, whether there's a slide in prices, we will be in trouble because we rely almost 99% on it. So he's saying let's begin to take our focus away from petrol. But how do we do that when everyone thinks that is where the money will come from? About 18 states are yet to pay the minimum wage. 18 states.
As we speak.
But you are already money that belongs to workers. You want to go and take from it. You want to go and take loans out of that money.
Martins, I cannot but take you back to the Jonathan years. There was the issue of the SWSF fund, the Sovereign Wealth Fund.
Yes.
The man said, let's keep this money for a rainy day. The governors told him, the rains don't come. And they feuded over it, if you remember.
They actually
went to court.
A particular governor at that time, now a minister. I think two governors who are now ministers.
Yeah, two of them.
Two of them. They are ministers. Let's keep their names. Let's focus on the issues. Actually took the finance minister, the Okojo Iweala,
to court. Yeah.
They would say, this is our money. Let's save this thing
for the
rainy day. They said, no. Before she could twist them to release $2 billion. It was her. You know.
And the little we save is what they are using for the second Niger bridge.
Yes, second Niger bridge.
That's why we've taken money.
Yes, and they have depleted it. At that time, Senegal also saved $2 billion. Senegal here, $2 billion. I looked at it at that time. I saw
go and check what Ghana has saved.
I looked. Texas had 2 sovereign wealth funds for education, for post-primary and tertiary education. You know, let us not talk about that. You know.
No, but you see, that's why many people are saying this constitution.
Yes.
We've got to take a
We've
second
got to take,
because they were pointing at that clause in the constitution that says all monies made by the country must be shared by the 3 tiers of government.
Yes, 3 tiers of government.
Even
to the federation account.
Even if that is what the constitution says.
Let him take it.
Yes,
take it
we should be paid, what he was saying, into the federation account. they didn't want to do it. But let us even look at other issues.
And shared.
And yes, and shared. That they should share this thing. Let us look at how we began this thing about critical thinking at this time. This is not a time you just sleep and sleep and sleep, because you continue to think and bring in experts and thinkers how to tinker with government policies.
That's it.
In a time of recession like this. Let's look at the following issues. People have been complaining about remuneration package for National Assembly members. What should we do with the remuneration package, the reward system of National Assembly members at a time such as this? What do we do? What of the over-bloated salary? Not too long ago, the finance minister was talking about Oronsaye panel report, with a view to just restructuring, streamlining and cutting down margin agencies. But now nobody is talking about it. But let me say something that even government should think about and look for data. During this time, without advertising, without anything, most of the revenue agencies, some of the political leaders, I know I have boasting, I'm an Abuja person, and I know, but this is a time we should speak the truth. Some of these revenue agencies have taken in more employees than even maybe the people who run the affairs of this country will know. They continue to send names to them for employment. Although I don't want to mention agencies, but all those agencies where they pay better, political leaders have put in their men. So we are talking about borrowing at this time. We are borrowing from everywhere for consumption. Nothing is wrong with borrowing. But what do they use to borrow for? Is it for critical infrastructure or for consumption?
If you mention the NNPC, nobody takes you to court.
Well, you are saying so. If you also mention CBN, nobody will take you to court.
Goes to court because we are talking about facts. We are talking about facts. FHCDS.
That are secret.
That's all.
We are talking about FIRS and others. They should look into how they have brought in so many people, and let the finance minister continue to talk to the nation about data. This is the age of the big data. You can easily get it. How much is the federal government paying out now? Why is it that we are not taking advantage of social technologies that we can use now instead of just...
The truth is, even if nobody comes out to tell us in plain language that this is what we are going through.
Yes.
The signs are there. The DG of the budget office came out the other day to say that they will not be able to pay the salaries of workers in government agencies.
Did they? So many agencies have not been paid for November. So many federal agencies have not been paid, but they can't complain.
The man said that he was referring to the minimum wage.
In the states, so many states now have not paid. Some of these states that have just come out of election have not paid. Some institutions for 6 months. Let's forget about...
But Jide, he has opened the window. Let's go there.
They have not paid their workers for 4 months.
We talk about the central government being overburdened. There are 66 exclusive matters on its plate. And you have a National Assembly...
They'll be happy to take in more if they can.
Yes.
As we sit here?
Yes.
So what's the duty of the National Assembly?
The National Assembly has a responsibility to change so many things that are wrong in our country. When I was talking about that clause that says all monies made by the nominee should be shared, even if that clause is there, shouldn't we reason that we needed to save for the rainy day? The argument of some of those governors was, look, where your infrastructure is more than 40, 50 years old, why must you save for the rainy day? And you heard what the former CBN governor was saying, that, look, the countries that saved when this recession came, they had the buffers. They were able to use the buffer. So Saudi Arabia is a major oil producer.
Yes.
There's no oil producer that didn't suffer
any backlash
as a result of the slide in prices. But because
thanks to COVID.
Yes. No, even before COVID. You know, this happened just after Buhari took office.
Okay, I remember.
But the cushions were there. They were able to cushion the effect because
they saw tomorrow today.
Yes, and they were able to defend their currency. But in our own case, once the money comes, let us share. Once, let us share. We were not thinking. Go and check how much a country like Norway has in the sovereign wealth account. Why is it seen by many people as the best place to be? Where even their prisons, nobody in their prisons anymore.
I hear many of them, they beg, made them bring prisoners.
They are building prisons that look like 5-star hotels. Yet there are no inmates. There are no inmates. People are now saying that it was Spain that even sent some of their own prisoners to please help us. You know? So this is the thing. Great countries prepare for adversity. Adversity will come. Things cannot always be rosy. There will be a time, even the Bible says it, you know, there will be a time when things will be quite tough.
So a time to plant, a time to sow, to reap.
A time for everything.
There's time for everything. So in our own case, once the money comes, let us share. We don't care.
When I said at the beginning, if you gave a Nigerian 10 hours to fell a tree, he spends 7 of the 10 sharpening the knife.
Now I hear that even the World Bank is telling us to further devalue our currency.
Yes. You know,
as one of the conditions to give us a loan. That's why they say the one who goes a borrowing goes a sorrowing. We have reached a point that we must do something about this.
How can you devalue your currency when you are not a producing country? It's illogical.
You know,
you don't.
You know, there's something that he started. You started the synopsis. And what we are running away from is restructuring. And that is what we should advise these governors, to get the National Assembly, as he was saying, to take note. We are the Guardian. We wrote the 7th series, the 7th article, editorial, yesterday. We put it on the front page every Thursday, that federalism is the answer after all. Part 7 yesterday. What are we saying? These governors, instead of going a borrowing, to go a sorrowing, they should collaborate with the National Assembly. Representatives from their states, they should put pressure on them. This is not a time where you have unitary system of government that we began in 1966 is our problem.
Martin,
sorry, I'm cutting. The economy restructure, policies restructure,
I don't
everything.
think it is not out of place to come in here with this.
Yes.
Many, many years ago, all 3 of us and many people watching will recall that we were the #1 palm oil producer on the planet.
Yes.
Today we are importing palm oil.
Yes.
And no governor is saying, and nobody is scandalized by this.
Nobody is scandalized.
No, we have even agreed that we cannot produce, that we can't produce enough.
Oh, really?
Yes, we have now
thrown up our hands in sweet surrender.
We are no longer among the world's big palm oil producers anymore. No more. No more. We watch in a country where we watch industries die.
To unashamedly going to import palm oil from Malaysia. This same Malaysia.
The same Malaysia that came here to pick palm kernels from us. So this is the thing. There has been a consistent failure of leadership. Leadership has to be forward-thinking. What do we do? And people have said, see, there are too many avenues through which the resources are leaking. Let us do something.
Yeah.
But we are oiling our own shackles by even causing the leakage to expand. Because what are we doing? The National Assembly as a bureaucracy is too big and is too expensive for our country. But what have we done? We have even allocated more money to them in the budget this time around. We've given them money to... I went to the National Assembly the other day. I do not see the pressing need for rehabilitation of the place. I do not see. It's still one of the most beautiful buildings in our country. And clean, well-run. This is a well-run place. But we still want to give them so much money to go and renovate.
All right. We have Ibrahim is reaching us from Istanbul. That's in Turkey. I greet you. Welcome. Wondering what time of day it is. Yeah, welcome. Bless you too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Can I quickly touch, because I've been calling since you started this program.
You have the time. Go on now.
Because I'm not talking about, I want to talk about the COVID-19 from my experience, because I left Nigeria just 10 days ago and I'm coming back today.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So can I go back to
Go on.
I just want to bridge something.
Go on.
Okay, sir. Thank you. God bless you. Sir, I understand everything you guys are doing. And God will bless you and God bless you guys for speaking.
Ibrahim, time.
I want to tell you
Go on.
something about the COVID-19. Yes, about the COVID. The government of Nigeria is giving, they are giving more progress more than the citizens. From my experience last week, I booked the appointment for the COVID. They said we should do the COVID test. I took mine as a treasure. You believe when I get to the airport, after paying 50,400, I stay in Lagos for 2 days because I don't take the Lagos because of the COVID. When I get to the airport, nobody asked me about the COVID before departing. That's familiar size. And I paid the money. Nobody checked it. Nobody asked. When I get to Istanbul, I'm coming back tomorrow by that place. When I get to Istanbul again, nobody asked nobody asked. That's 6,000 naira wasted. Even on a day, nobody asked. Okay, now they are supposed to come back. The more I know, they create the NDP to whatever. You have to fill a form, pay for you need the permission to come back because to generate the code.
All right.
I tried to do before yesterday just to pay. When I fill the form, at the Access Bank, the Access Bank, GTB Bank, and
Ibrahim, we got you first time. We got him first time.
I think the concern of our people is simply to make money.
That's it.
That's the point that's made. And it's not the first person to complain.
Oh, yeah.
That the focus is simply, let's just get the money off these people. We don't care whether they do any test. We don't care whether they are clean. We don't care whether they come to infect our people. That's the point. I've seen people do videos, to lament about what's going on. Even when they tell them, go to this place, they won't find anybody. They won't find anybody. They can't locate addresses.
But they will point at certain addresses.
And you're taking money from them?
Yes.
Let's take this thing home
like
now. No, it's all right. Our business here is to provoke the debate and help mold opinion. So I'm sure...
And help change our country. This has to change.
Do you know, in taking this thing to bed, I can't understand why Ondo State can meet the bitumen requirements of this country and many other countries, but we still are importing
only to Venezuela.
Yes, we are importing deposit. What do you call bitumen?
Yes,
and it pays them to import.
Yes,
our job is done. We'll take another break and come back. Please stay with us.
A year that began with lots of promises, soon witnessed a wind of pandemic blow through, bringing along health emergency not seen in decades, and the demand for accountability turned dramatic.
She's right. Yeah, like me, I was a member like you.
The hunted takes on arm as the hunter. Police reform over the years has been cosmetic, but not anymore. The people say no to brutality by the force. Bandits run riot in some parts of the country as houses of horror are unsealed. After 12 months, the year is ending as one that will not be forgotten in a haste. Stay with TVC News for specials and deep analysis of the events that defined 2020. TVC News, first with breaking news.
All right, folks, welcome. The third story of the evening. One abrasive sore point in our democracy is the sanctity of our elections. And since that's our type of democracy, is about elections and more elections, some cynics would say selections, the win by every means mantra is promoted by the political class. The electoral umpire, INEC, in Akwa Ibom State, has arraigned a professor, Ignatius Uduk, for alleged electoral fraud during the 2019 polls. The university teacher was the returning officer for the Esienudem state constituency during the process. He was arraigned before an Uyo High Court on a 3-count charge, including perjury, His bail application was opposed by counsel to the INEC. Gentlemen, desperate politicians will tar anybody. They'll tar anybody.
If you also allow yourself to be that, because clearly, and I've said it here on a number of occasions, that some of these academics that INEC had been using for elections are extremely crooked and had been rigging election for politicians. So I'm not surprised that this person has been arrested. The court had to issue a bench warrant for his arrest because he refused to show up for his trial. There are so many of them who provide information about INEC documents to politicians, enabling politicians to be able to clone INEC documents, especially documents like from EC8A, result sheets. Once the politician has the result sheet, once he has the result sheet, he will go and fill whatever he wants there and hope that the courts can give him victory that he did not secure through the ballot box. So this is the thing. After the, I think after the 2019 elections, former INEC chairman, Jega, was complaining bitterly about the excesses of some of these professors. It was his idea. It was his idea to bring in these professors.
Who are his colleagues?
His colleagues. But a lot of them have really put Jega to shame by their level of involvement in election rigging. And even when they wanted to do the both the Ondo and the Edo election, I said, the idea thing is, since it's an off-season election, why can't INEC bring in its own staff from neighboring states? Those ones are full-time staff of INEC. They will be concerned about their career, because you know that once you are caught, your career has ended. But when you bring lecturers or even civil servants from different departments of government, they don't feel committed to the job like an INEC staff who knows that, look, all the good name that he had maintained for years could be destroyed by one wrong move, by one attempt to please a politician. This is Sianudim is Akpabio's local government, you know, and this is where Akpabio had hoped that in the senatorial election he will be able to get about 50,000 votes. But the truth is, only 19,000 persons were accredited in his local government.
How many people actually voted?
And he pushed and pushed and pushed for 50,000 votes. But at the tribunal, the presiding judge said, I align with INEC, because the INEC cadre that showed that only 19,000 persons were accredited. So where did you get 50,000 votes from? Yes, it means that someone assisted in generating the 50,000 votes. Yes. This is the dilemma that we face in our country, that the people that we expect to help us ensure the fidelity of our elections are themselves more concerned about destroying the process. So,
is it about destroying or making money? You know, quick bucks.
The implication of it is that the process gets destroyed. Yes. No. If people can't have faith in the elections,
then everything is
what
done.
Have we gained?
Martins, we cannot but go back now to the, if you remember, the sting operations against justices of the Supreme Court. Yes. You look back and ask yourself, was it necessary?
Well, definitely, you know, as a literature in English teacher in those days, there was one classic that I taught entitled The Incorruptible Judge by D. Olu Olagoke.
Okay.
One quotable quote from that play is that if the citadel of justice is corrupt, say the body politic will be completely rotten and collapse. So if gold is beginning to rust, gold. So if we cannot rely, if we as a country, the most populous black nation on earth, if we cannot rely on professors to conduct free and fair election.
Credible
election. From the process, he just explained what happened in Ebonyi State. It's a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's a national tragedy. It's not about all those things. Let's look at it. If we cannot rely on professors, as Professor Jega was lamenting after the 2019 election, he was visibly angry. You know, Professor Jega, after the tour of duty, he returned to the
classroom.
To the classroom to teach political science.
Oh, yeah.
And he was saddened by what he heard that his colleagues were doing. So if we cannot rely on our professors, who else? Are we going to rely on youth corps members? It's a sad story.
No.
However,
yeah,
for bringing us to understand this and to know this about our country, we need to commend INEC officials who have...
Especially the
Yes, the resident electoral commissioner there. Resident electoral commissioner, a young man, is like one of us. You know, we need to commend his effort for not covering this, for not covering up.
That's it.
Because how many such examples do we have?
He had a choice.
Yes. How many such examples do we have across the country? And we keep complaining that our elections are being rigged. How often do we make examples of people?
We need to call him out to take a bow for his courage to expose this, because this is shameful.
Jide, we talk about the histrionics of politicians because it's a way of life and so on. But complaining about these things will not solve anything. So ahead of 2023, well, the new INEC chair, who just got his second term, I hear the first in the series, says he's already working ahead of 2023. Is he not going to rely on his colleagues anymore?
He can only do his best. How about the people who work for him? How many people in INEC, a lot of the Rex, how many of them are morally upright? INEC is not in short of the proper rules to conduct an election. But the problem is that INEC officials themselves, a lot of them, refuse to implement their own rule book. They refuse to follow their own rule book. That is the point. Because
some of them talk about being hit by politicians. When they stand in their way. Haven't you heard that?
It is the person who has made up his mind to work for a politician that eventually gets to rig for a politician. If you make up your mind that it won't happen, it will not happen. You will not make yourself available to be used by the politician, and it is possible. Make sure that you don't get too close to them. Stay away, because they will soil you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they will tie you with their own dirty brush. The truth is, where INEC says, where an election, where the card reader is bypassed in an election, you must cancel the election. The rule is clear. There are INEC staff, INEC Rex, INEC resident electoral commissioners who will implement that directive, that INEC rule to the letter. But there are some of them who will simply look away.
Yes.
That's why we have this problem. Imagine recording 54% use of the card reader in the 2019 election, only to come to 2015 election, we recorded 54%, only to get to 2019 and record only 19%. Isn't that a shame? It shows that increasingly the wishes of the Nigerian people are being subverted.
Yeah.
And you cannot subvert the will of the Nigerian people through the ballot box without the connivance of INEC staff.
They
are the ones who work in cahoot with politicians.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if someone comes, if you do an accreditation that gives us 19,000, and someone is going around claiming that he scored 50,000 votes, where did he get the 50,000 votes from? It means that somebody somewhere just filled in 50,000 into an INEC
and collect money,
resource sheet.
And collect money,
yes.
pocket it.
That is what a lot of them do.
And sometimes, if it go pay title, I don't know.
It depends. I've seen people, someone in this country now, I've seen someone who stole money in his place of work and used the money to buy generator for his church.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Maybe you remember the person. That person was working for an hotel in this country. And he bought generator for his church. And he
went to jail.
Because you think that God can be mocked. You want to deceive God because you deceive Nigerians.
Went to jail and they no help him.
Whatever a man soweth,
so he shall reap. But please, I'm looking at the trial judge in Oyo, Justice Achibong. And there was the bail application. The INEC lawyer opposed it, and they have fixed the hearing for 21st.
Yes.
So that's what we want to see.
Yes. Definitely. That's what I think you see by even revealing this thing, by naming and shaming that professor.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's still on trial. And I continue to talk about our brother Mike Guinea.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a jolly good fellow.
He had a running battle in Akwa Ibom.
In Akwa Ibom.
Everywhere he goes. Everywhere.
Blackmail him in the social media.
Lie against him,
they will call him
PDP, this.
They will call him name. But we need to see more of these wrecks, more of a good
There's
Nigeria
another
like
one
this.
in Sokoto. There's another one in Sokoto.
Yes.
It's just like a Guinea, if not more stubborn.
So we need to see this kind of, because should we continue to read this novel by a Ghanaian that the beautiful ones are not yet born in our country?
There are beautiful ones here. But our leadership recruitment process or strategy is defective. If we find the right leadership recruitment strategy, we will be able to identify the best.
Which means we should be
How did Obasanjo? I've talked about how Obasanjo identified this woman who headed NAFDAC.
Akwili. Yes.
There are many people like that. There are many people in the police that you cannot even offer them bribe. They will prefer to die.
We are in a place where if you nominate good people, they will not even be confirmed.
Yes, they will hate those people.
And they will write security reports to destroy them. That this is what they did. I don't know. For this one,
we live in a country where if you choose to say the truth, you are hated.
It's a celebration.
He's playing to the gallery. Don't mind that. Don't mind that.
Corruption and mediocrity.
Yes. Or you off the mic.
They want everybody to be psychophantic like them.
And Martins, you off the mic somewhere.
Because of corruption. and I think that this is a very sad story. I repeat that Diolu Olagoke said that if the citadel of justice is corrupt, what will happen to the body politic? It will be completely rotting and collapse.
The fellow should worry less, because in front of any court, you see the statue. Jide, the woman is called Justicia.
Yes.
There's the other sister, or the cousin.
Yes.
She's known as Nemesis.
Nemesis.
That one, they carry sword. They know they cover
that one know they spear anybody.
Definitely.
So, Jide had said, God cannot be mocked. Yeah.
Whatever a man sows,
he will reap.
If you like steal money, go and buy a generator for your church, or build a church, or build a mosque after stealing money, or using people for rituals. If you like, build a church or build a mosque.
All right.
One day you will face your maker. People must realize that. You've got to realize that.
Okay. So we are done about that. You have molded your opinion. Make your choice. Let's stick on our last story. You know, death is a destination we all share. Its icy hands have taken another officer and gentleman, Major General Olubumi Irefi. The Kogi-born officer had only recently been named GOC of 6th Division of the Nigerian Army in Port Harcourt. He visited Delta State on a familiarization tour of states under his jurisdiction. Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has condoled with the family of the officer who died in the course of attending the Chief of Army Staff's conference. His death is believed to be linked to COVID-19 pandemic. The late General Irefi was not just a Green Heart fighter, but an accomplished scholar. A school has been named in his honor. It's like one of the backroom boys you hardly hear about. But one thing that trips me about this late general, he was of a scholarly bent.
Yes, and it belonged to the operations
directorate
of the army, the operations unit, so to say, of the army. There are very few soldiers in the army with his field experience. He's an operations person. He's a fantastic officer. As I said yesterday, he was my senior in secondary school. And that's Abdulaziz Atta Memorial College in Okene. And, you know, because of his apolitical nature, Irefin will not lick your ass. He will tell you, even if you are the head of state, he will tell you the truth to your face. Ask any army officer familiar with him.
There are very few and far between officers like that.
He was the army officer who could talk to the chief of army staff to his face. Said, Chief of army staff, you are wrong, sir. You may do what you want, but you are wrong, sir. That's the kind of person that he was. And he was on the rank of lieutenant colonel for 8 years. Because
against the run of play.
Yes, because he would not leak anyone's ass. So to him, when the current chief of army staff made him a GOC, he was shocked. He said because in the past they had cause, you know, to argue in public, to disagree in public, and he felt, look, that this man will never. But Burate made him a GOC, and I think that's credit to the chief of army staff that someone who was your critic, you still considered him worthy of a very big position. Not many soldiers get to become GOCs in 2 different divisions. He was GOC 81 division and GOC 6th division.
That act is a striking one about, when you talk about humanity, it's a striking message.
It's not
a lesson in humanity.
It's something that I've been thinking about, that perhaps there's a lot that people do not even know about this man, about TY. Because for him to have chosen, and he must have truly loved him, because you don't just make anyone GOC in Lagos. You must have felt this person is one of the best that I have. And he made him GOC 81 division here. Irefin served here and then sent him to Port Harcourt as GOC 6th division and in charge of the land component of Operation Desert Safe. So that says a lot about this person. I read the tribute by the Kogi State government, and I'm really happy because that state has produced some of the greatest army officers to ever come out of our country. And the truth is, there are still many of them like that. All it takes is for the people in leadership position within the armed forces to continue to identify such people. You know? They must continue to identify such people. Look at Major General Oshanokpin. Oshanokpin was the commander of Brigade of Guards.
Federal.
Yes, under Obasanjo. He was commander of Brigade of Guards. Was even Major General or Lieutenant General? I can't remember now. He's from my village. You know, for someone to rise to that level, to command the Brigade of Guards, that means in terms of the protection of the president, you are number 1. You are in charge of the protection of the president. Nothing must happen to the president. We had people like Rufus Kupolati also from there. We've had people like General Adeleke, you know, brilliant man.
Jemmy Bewon.
Yes, Jemmy Bewon. And the 11th Chief of Air Staff. That's Femi John Femi, who became the Chief of Air Staff during the Abacha years, 1993. So the Kogi State has produced so many fantastic officers, and it's a good tribute that the state has come up with. We also have people like Lemo Fabi. I'm sure you remember Lemo Fabi, who was arrested and accused of planning the 1995 coup. 1995, yeah. He was the head of the Navy's legal unit.
Yes.
Kogi State also had Colonel Dr. Bello Fadile, who was also the head of the Nigerian Army legal unit. LMO Fabi, who comes from my village, and Fadile from Kaba, were both heads of the Navy's legal unit and Army's legal unit at the same time.
Okay.
The same time.
Martins, we must greet Jide's village. Yes. Now he has told me he's a Kogi boy once again. Yes. With that history. But you see, he talked about an officer being apolitical. I cannot forget General Ishola Williams. Yes. There are people like that.
He was almost a colonel forever.
Forever. you know the significance of this story.
Yeah.
Yes, as he was saying, that, when we're talking about people who are bad, the beautiful ones are not yet born. I said they are yet born. There are so many beautiful ones.
But suppressed.
It reminds me of what this cleric, Rick Warren, I have quoted several times, even in my writing, where I talk, because I love the story.
Yeah.
It says in his book, The Purpose-Driven Life, Rick Warren, that there are some people who are very prominent, of course, made prominent by those of us in the media, but they are not significant. And there are some people who are significant, but not prominent, that God, the Almighty God, is looking for significant people to build his kingdom and to build even the kingdom from here on earth.
Yeah.
The lesson here is that if we are looking for a new Nigeria, we should begin to look for officers like this, not because they serve in the army, they are in the army, they are in the police, they are everywhere in the civil society, they are even in the universities. It's not all professors that can do this. Let's clarify that. There are significant people who are not prominent. And he used the word political recruitment process. As we are clamoring for a new Nigeria, we should begin to look for significant people, not necessarily prominent people who are notorious all over the place. Significant officers like this, who can speak truth to power, who will not accept a bribe, who will say to, who doesn't mind whose ox is God.
Who can tell the commander-in-chief. Commander-in-chief, you are
this is, we can do it in a better way. I think it's very important to note that.
The gentleman.
Yeah.
That's my senior.
Okay. Fine, officer. But let's quickly go there. We're talking about a new Nigeria, but we must do something about our sense of the value system in my country. If you don't steal enough money, as Judy would say, yes to, and have an estate, you are not successful.
You are not successful.
But I'm reminded in this regard that talent is given by God.
Yes.
Fame is made by man, but strike a balance between the two. That's the problem.
You see, I think it says this dear sister, your view, Morayo, they did one significant thing about packaging. The other day, I listened to her.
You watched it?
Yes, I watched it. It was a significant thing. They are packaging a lot of scoundrels. And they are packaging in our country scoundrels as managers and leaders. That packaging, it's significant for us to know, to begin to discern, not to look for prominent people who have money, because they monetize the system. If you have money, you can win election. If you have money, you can be anything. You can even be nominated. If you have money, you can be anything. It is one of those things we should restructure our mind about. Political recruitment process. We need to restructure it to ensure that the leadership recruitment process, we should be serious about it. We should not leave it to God. God has created us to think critically and to reform our process.
That's why he gave you a brain.
Yes, you can imagine a situation where a governor has money to bribe professors who are returning officers. With all these officers, most of this litigation you find Trump doing in the Trump doing? He has to pay because the system does not allow you to use public funds for litigation.
Well, in our own case, we'll use public funds for litigation. We'll use public
post-election petition
to bribe judges.
We'll
use public funds to pay our concubines.
Even recount, ordinary recount, you have to pay.
And gentlemen,
if you ask for recount, you pay.
It's because nobody asks questions.
Oh yes.
Let me tell you, someone is you come up with a kind of PR for yourself, and you still want the state to pay for the PR that you've done.
Okay.
This is what governors do.
Yes.
All right, gentlemen, we must pack it all in there.
So this is it. We must find a way to change our country. People tell me that, Jide, I'm encouraged about the fact that you've not given up on our country. I had the opportunity to go into exile in 1995 when I wrote the story that sent my boss to jail. My boss, Kunle Ajibade, I anchored the cover story. I refused to leave this country at the risk of being arrested.
Yeah.
I refuse to leave. Okay. Why should I leave? I believe in the country, and we'll continue to do our best through the platform that God has given us to try to change our country.
All right, we leave it there.
I believe in our country.
To the family of
I believe in Nigeria.
late General John Olubunmi Olufin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No vex now. I'm sorry. General John Olubunmi Irefin. The message to the family and the country at large is all good people will die, including all bad people. Death is not the opposite of life, it's a part of it. But they say you live life only once. If you live it well enough, that once is enough.
John Donne said death is the opposite of living.
Of living, yeah.
Nobody lives forever. Nobody lives forever. So death is a part of living.
We have to extend our condolences to the Chief of Army Staff. He just lost one of his most capable officers. And we pray that God...
Coming 1 week after, barely a week after a former general, a former beloved general passed.
Yes, that's Kadbali.
Yes.
Okay then, we must go. Martin Zaloja, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Biko, enjoy your weekend. Thanks. Send the bills to them.
No, you see, this thing that you say all the time, one day I'm going to get boys here to hold you down. You won't be able to get into your car.
That will be aggression.
They will relieve you of all the money in your pocket,
you
will have to pay.
I will seek redress.
Who is the lawyer that you
We will get some incorruptible judges.
Come on. Okay, that's it on the show. If you missed this, you may also watch us on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. We are back on Sunday at the same time, so join us then. So on behalf of the Backroom Boys, who have 14 days to prepare for Christmas, I wish you well ahead. Bye-bye now.